I just got done recording a podcast for the Old Patrol with Gil Mazza. And let me tell you something. That Gil Mazza is one angry SOB. And I asked him, Gil, why are you so angry? Are you angry because the Border Patrol's arrested and released 7 million people in less than 3 years? Are you angry that we've been averaging over 250 to 300,000 arrests and releases every single month? Are you angry that 10 million people have crossed our border undetected and abscond? Are you angry because Mayorkas is a traitor? Are you angry because the Border Patrol is approaching their 100-year anniversary and the DHS has completely neutered us? You're damn right he's angry, and he should be.
Greetings and welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. I'm your host, Gil Mazza, retired Class 313 out of San Diego sector. Today, me and JJ were supposed to discuss Chapter 6 of his book, Invaded, The Intentional Destruction of the American Immigration System, but we never got to it. What you are going to get is two retired, angry, yet well-informed Border Patrol agents having a raw, unfiltered discussion on this catastrophic border crisis. So, buckle up, Buttercup. Someone is about to get triggered.
You and I agree that something has changed. Something. I have my ideas. I just want to know what you have heard or what you think is transpired that now it's almost as if it is beyond a free-for-all.
I just think it's the logical progression. In other words, this crisis has been happening for over 970 days since this administration started, right? And it's been a crisis from the beginning. And all we've ever heard is, no, it's not a crisis until this happens. So this happens. And so Ortiz kind of kept trying to kick the ball down the line, Chief Ortiz. And this administration, of course, still hasn't admitted it's a crisis. And so what I think is, it's the only thing that's bothering this administration is the optics. And so this is just the natural, this is just the only logical conclusion or event that can come from this whole thing is that, the longer you leave the door open, the more people pour in. And they're getting bolder, less afraid. They're not afraid of consequences. They're not afraid of DHS CBP. They're not afraid of Title VIII. They are now realizing that not only are they being allowed in by the billions, by the millions, but they're starting to get protective status, right?
Yeah, I just saw Venezuela.
Is declared Venezuela protective status. Now Afghan, and that's whether or not they come in illegally or not. And Afghans protective status now. So not only is he free-for-alling them into the country, but now he's trying to protect them from his own agency and CBP from actually removing them in the future. That's my take.
Nobody wants to talk about the fact. We talk about Barack Obama being a Manchurian candidate. Joe Biden he's just a vessel that they're using because he has no idea. Empty vessel. Nobody wants to talk about because they're afraid to be called a racist, and I'm not, so I'll just go ahead and say it. We've just now allowed a naturalized citizen from Cuba to dictate every immigration policy in American history. Okay?
Okay.
So there has to be a question that needs to be asked about Mayorkas. Is he planted into our government to destroy it? Because you have to ask yourself that. There is no way that any American would do this to their own country. And nobody will ask that question of Mayorkas. Where's your loyalties lie? Does it lie with your communistic roots from Cuba? And you believe that America is a racist, imperialistic, colonialistic empire that needs to be brought to its knees, and all of our riches are ill-gotten gains, so therefore they are now truly open to the masses of the world to come take what we have stolen from them. Okay. And that is a true and honest question to be asked, because that is exactly what is happening to our nation right now, and no one will ask it.
Well, then the question needs to be asked. We're just talking about the immigration section, right? Biden, his administration, not Biden, but his administration has attacked the family through every media outlet,
Yep.
every large corporation or business, every large name you could ever imagine, from ESPN to Disney to Target to every major organization that are common names to all of America,
Yep.
rapidly championed this whole LGBTQ thing as if they were the most, persecuted and suffering class of human beings in the history of the planet. I think we've seen more about that in its entirety than we've seen about the entirety of the Holocaust, of the Jewish Holocaust, right? So there's the aspect of the destruction of the moral family fabric. There's the absolute destruction of our economics, right? Everything
as our
these guys
TSP
say
disappears. Yep.
Well, everything these guys say, right? The president's historic moves on, the economy. We're all doing so much better now. You just don't know it yet. The president has moved historically on the border and has slowed down, has stopped the flow without the help of the Republicans. He has made historic moves, in the history of the country to stop the flow of immigration while we're watching with our own eyes. Right, it destroyed. So the question has to be asked. This guy was picked because, yes, I agree with you 100%, and I don't care if it sounds racist either, that he is a anti-American, right? Anti-American, hell bent on destroying the immigration system. And you and I established during his chapter of your book, and even last time, that this guy has made it a career. Right, he knows the ins and outs of the immigration system. So, extend the question, right? Extend the question beyond Mayorkas, and because this is just one segment of society that's getting devastated right before our eyes, while we're being told to our face that, hey, everything's under control, everything's fine, borders closed, borders secure, and they even have our own agents, JJ.
I know.
You know how I feel about that, right? You have your own guys. I know Justin De La Torre, from the past, and they're standing there, and even getting defended by saying, we are, processing, and you will be processed for removal immediately. You will be removed, you can be, right? Because that's their big defense. He didn't say they would be; they said they can be, and that was during the same time when Tucson is literally mass releasing people into the street. That's when he comes out with this video, right? So when does the agent say, you might have sold out the country and you sold out my patrol, but you're not selling out this badge? When do we start saying that? When is the right time? And I think we're past it.
Past the time. Yeah. People, I know Justin De La Torre from a trainee when we were at Imperial Beach. Very nice guy. Not someone's going to lead you down. It's just not someone's going to lead you and tell the truth. I mean, it comes to a point, Gil, when the nation's crumbling, meaning there's now a report this morning, I think it's south of El Paso or Del Rio, one of the two, so forgive me if I'm wrong, one of the two, that they say the Congo line is now 5 miles long. 5 miles long. And you're sitting there telling me that everything's okay? Why don't you just speak the truth? Because it's so blatantly obvious. So every time you open your mouth and you give some sector talking point or DC, you look like a lying bastard. So why would, and the thing that I've seen this throughout my career, and I didn't get promoted sometimes because it was my own stubbornness, and I take onus of that I didn't get to the point in the patrol that I wanted to. All I wanted to be was I wanted to have a line station as a pack. That's what I wanted. And I wanted to shut the border down, and I want to be known as the most ruthless pack as far as shutting the border down and backing my guys and extending Operation Gatekeeper North in my AOR and dominating it.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. And I take some of that because of my stubbornness, but I just would not bend the knee to sector speak and play in this game to placate people. We were paid a good salary to close the border down and arrest illegal aliens. There were several people throughout my career Chief Fisher, Rodney Scott, they were like, I don't give a crap. We're going to shut the border down. But there were more people that got in the way, and not just got in the way, but forbade us from even going and doing our job. I remember going out of my area, meaning my area is United States of America.
Right.
I can remember going to areas in San Diego, and I would not one moment would I think of officer safety tactics. You know what I was thinking? How am I going to articulate where I got this guy? Am I going to lie on my 826? And what if it's a criminal? Now I can't lie about where I got him. I have to, right? That's all I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Because we had, even back then, Gil, when you look at the history of the Border Patrol, you had, I don't want to go as far as say traitors, because I don't believe they had, like Mayorkas is intentionally a traitor.
Yes.
You had people in our government, in the leadership of Border Patrol, that were just effing cowards. And all they cared about was their next promotion. And they would say anything to get promoted. All the people that were in the PIO back then, we call it PIO, now it's PAO, same thing. Those men and women, dude, they never put handcuffs on a single person. And they're sitting there critiquing me on Mexican news media about, well, that agent probably needs to be re-educated in his job. No, you need to take your gun and your badge off and just put a suit and tie on and stop playing the game of law enforcement officer. And you're just a PI hack. That's all you are. So when I look at Justin De La Torre and I look at these other individuals that just lie, and you just want to shake them and say, dude, everybody's looking over your shoulder and they can see the Congo line 5 miles long coming into America. Yeah. You're making a effing fool of yourself. Stop it. But they can't. They have been so, like you and I are so conditioned to see what needs to be done and act. They are equally conditioned to look at the problem and go, oh my God, how do we massage this so it looks better? Instead of looking at it going, how am I going to stop this? We can't allow this to continue to happen. We just, there is no outcome in the very near future or even midterm future that looks good.
Well, yeah, like you said, just this morning, Randy Clark posted a picture of a Venezuelan waving his flag as he's coming into the United States, right?
I saw that.
Right. And it started me off this morning. It enraged me, right? Because he wants to come to America, not to make America a better place for himself and the rest of us, just like the other millions of the same kind of person, same kind of single, male adult that we're bringing in droves without even vetting or questioning it whatsoever, right? And he is not here. He's here to sit on America's lap and slap it in the face, take what he can, right? Mm-hmm. While still pledging allegiance to his own country. And that is that's the perfect picture. And now you have DHS, CBP, ICE out there saying, guys, if you come in, don't make the trip. Don't bother, because you're just going to get sent back. While they're getting texts on their phone from their buddy in New York and Texas and Alabama and California, LA, everybody else, everywhere else, every place where the freaking liberal, dipshits are screaming bloody murder now. Right. Yeah, because, Hochul is like in the beginning, she's like, we have a big enough heart for everybody. Right. And now she wants America's wallet. Yep. Right. She can't. They can't keep up with it, and they need to realize, JJ, that we're running out of room at the Roosevelt Inn, at the Roosevelt Hotel, and they don't even have the self-awareness to realize what they're saying. Right?
No,
not even the self-awareness.
Because they're liberals.
Yeah,
liberalism is a mental disorder.
JJ, come on. The politics and the games and all that stuff that's been going on for decades. What's the difference now?
Difference now is that you have the 50 million foreign-born nationals are residing in America. 50. So now we're at 1 in 6 residents are not American citizens. Okay. By the next year, Biden as these numbers increase, we will see 3 million people in 8 days. He will surpass 3 million people brought into our nation. Next year, I kind of predict that it's going to be 3.5 to 4 million. Because you're going to see, here's what's going to happen. You're going to see, and I asked you this in the beginning, what is your reason why this is happening? And one of my theories is, I believe when you look at when I say Mexican government, I'm talking cartels. Cartels are running it. Our government, the United States of America, is colluding with the Mexican government on where and how many of these individuals can come across. Mm-hmm. I believe that there has been an agreement between the nations that, okay, send them in. And I believe the cartels are looking at this as like their Amazon Prime warehouse. And now their warehouses, they're getting orders for more and more and more. So they basically said, okay, let's go. We're going to work 18, 24 hours a day. We're just going to grind this because we are now have the opportunity to make hundreds of billions of dollars. And I believe that's what's happening. And I believe as we get closer to the presidential election, the world is going to freak out and say, oh my God, there's a chance that Biden will not get reelected and Trump will get in. We need to go now while it's open. And you will see a flood. I mean, think of this. Why I just went on before I came on with you. I went back on the CBP website. Still can't get numbers for August.
Yeah.
Why? Because the numbers spiked. And when September's done, they're going to eclipse over 300,000 arrests throughout the nation.
Well, they've just
in September
already beaten the record they've beaten 4 times in this last fiscal year, right? And then just yesterday, they put a CBP DHS puts out a thing saying that they're selling the CBP1 app, right, as hard and as strong and as fast as they can. And they're saying that, don't go to the smuggling cartels to get brought to the United States, go to the CBP1 app. And I thought that was freaking hilarious. Freaking hilarious.
Well, who do you think's running the CBP1 app in Mexico, you morons?
But that's not just it, right? They're like they want us to believe, or somehow these guys that you and I worked with, these guys that wore the uniform one day, wants you and I to believe that they can, the cartels are not the ones getting them to the border. And then they're applying on CBP1, but they're not even applying on CBP1 anymore because they know it's a crap app. That's why they said, you know what, the hell with this. We're just going to walk in because that is just so much quicker and easier and better for them.
Well, let's just say
for them to say that they're going to circumvent the cartels. I mean, what border law enforcement officer is going to buy that? But they think that their audience is just illegals as far as CBP, because that's their defense, JJ. That's how these agents defend themselves. They're like, we're not talking to Americans here. We're talking to the illegals, as if the illegals it's only illegals on there, right? Millions of illegals are looking at their CB at all their posts going, oh shit, I better not go in today because they're saying they're going to remove me and send me back. So I might as well not make the trip.
They're so delusional. They live in a bubble of treason, maliciousness, and evil. And I say that, and I'll say it right to their face if I ever see them. If anyone ever had the courage to confront me.
What other explanation?
On their keyboard. There is none.
What other explanation could there possibly be for men and women that you and I both know? They been through the same academy, JJ. They went through the same training. They even worked in the same areas we worked.
But they never did the job, Gil. You know that.
But
yes, they worked. Yeah, but they never did the job, or they've been so removed. Listen, the bigger picture is we are now witnessing the collapse of the American immigration system, and we are witnessing the absolute destruction of America. And if you can't see it and you think that I'm crazy, you can go pound sand because I'm not going to retract anything. You cannot. Let's just look at it from just a numbers. I always say this is now a simple math problem. This is not what your feelings are.
Yeah.
Explain to me how, after, let's just go 4 years out from Joe Biden, 4 years, he is going to allow in 25 million to 30 million people, okay? Either either being arrested or absconded. And this is a very conservative number. Just tell me how that benefits America, or in any way that is a positive outcome. And there's never anyone can answer me. And then before they can, in the silence, sometimes I just let the silence hang so we can make it very profound that you're stupid and ignorant and you don't have an answer. But then sometimes I cut in and I say, I'm going to save you the embarrassment of having to answer that. And I'm going to say to you, 25 million people came in America. You're looking at our largest city in the nation, that is the financial capital and the most diverse city in the nation. New York City has 110,000, not 10.5 million, 110,000. And their mayor says, and I quote, "This issue will destroy New York City."
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I just throw my hands up and I go, where is your argument back to me? I just told you the major city in America is brought to its knees with 110,000. And I'm telling you, just on CBP data alone, not just their announced arrest and their getaways, is 10 million. 10 million. And you and I know that that is a bold-faced lie.
Oh, yeah.
In less than 3 years, they have arrested and released or absconded through their own numbers, 10 million. You and I know that that is double. We're at 20 million. And you're telling me a 0.5% destroyed New York City of that 20 million that has already come in? Come on, man. Look what's going to do to the rest of America. Did you see what Chicago did today? Chicago just came out and said their mayor, who is a socialist, communist moron, he just allocated $25 million to a security firm to build migrant camps. And guess where they're going to build them, Gil? In the center of Chicago.
Wonderful.
What do you think is going to happen when you get the Mexican mafia, MS-13, Russian mafia, Chinese nationals jammed inside Chicago with all of their gangs? I can't wait. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see it. I'm going to watch it happen. And I'm going to, before I used to watch these videos of them ransacking department stores and 7-Elevens and beating up their clerks. I used to I get so angry I want to go fight. Now I just sit and laugh. And you know what I say? As bad as this is, unchristian as this is, just like that woman that got beat up yesterday in Seattle. They came in and tore her 7-Eleven to pieces. And then one of them just systematically beat this woman to a pulp. I just sit back and I just say, I hope you enjoy it. You voted for it. You wanted it. You wanted to defund the police. You called me and all of my brothers and sisters racist. Yep. You called us vile names. You defunded us. You made us get shot in our squad cars. You got us killed. Guess what? You eat this, sweetheart. Every one of you that get pummeled, raped, beaten, you deserve it. You own it. It's yours. You got raped because you are a moron. And you have to, and because it'd be different if you got raped just because you're a moron, I'd have sympathy. But you're getting raped and beaten because you tried to destroy me, my family, all of my family in law enforcement. There are police officers being murdered at accelerated rates.
Oh, yeah.
Because you foster a world that makes us the enemy. So guess what? As you're getting gang raped and beaten, enjoy it because you own it. You wanted it. It's amazing how crime is not a problem until it happens to you.
Of course.
Crime statistics are just statistics until you're raped and beaten.
Yeah.
You own it. And
America still, a lot of America still, I mean, you listen to the Democrat, senators and congressmen still defending, still saying this is Republican conservative man-made, just it's all made up while we're watching, right? And gaslighting us. We're getting gaslighted by the president, gaslighted by the people in office there, Congress and Senate. We're getting gaslighted by our own federal law enforcement officers who right now should be standing up for the truth, should be standing up against the state and government propaganda machine, because now the American people are literally left defenseless. All we can do is sit and watch while officials in blue and green uniforms tell us, and not but their counterparts, right, out in the state, right, the Texas DPS, right, all day, every day, telling the truth about the border. How come they're the only ones? How come local PDs, except the ones run by freaking liberal idiots,
Right.
are reporting this? They're crying at the top of their lungs, JJ, but DHS CBP is putting out pictures of, female agents, we'll hold your baby while we process you and release you into the country, and then we'll let the taxpayers take over and pay for this baby's life, right? And while we are literally saddled in the worst inflation, I'm paying a third of my income, even more now, for everything. Now. And so it's like now I have added to that, right, 50 million extra dependents. Added to the American, budget, to each individual's American budget. So now everybody better start planning for their part in what they're paying for this illegal invasion and the lives of every single person that comes through the border.
But our founding fathers were geniuses when they said, you will get the government that you vote for. And we got now we can go into the stolen election,
right,
and on. But the general elections, where you're Seattle, Portland, LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, I go on and on and on.
Yep.
You need to eat it. You need to eat it. But what is going to be and when I say that those people and those residents need to eat it, why I'm so watching it from afar is because I know that crime, that criminality, that evil it's not going to stay in those boundaries. It's going to bleed out into America, where I live, and I won't tolerate it. And I think there's fewer and fewer men like me and you, but there's still enough of us Americans that will not tolerate this.
Well, that's funny you should say that. Funny you should say that, because I was just talking to, I was in Florida this last week, and I was talking to a retired police officer from Pennsylvania. And what he told me was very telling and very interesting. What he said was, you could go to a neighborhood in Chicago here and be 100% safe. And just go 5 blocks over, JJ, and you will be 100% in danger. Why? Because the neighborhood they decide how much crime they're going to put up with.
Yep.
They said the last time, one of the times he was chasing a wanted felon, that the people in that neighborhood were like telling him, oh yeah, he went this way. And then he'd go a little ways. Oh yeah, he's over here. So the community was invested in saying, no, we're not letting this happen here. Right. But then on the other hand, when you fill all these neighborhoods now that are being glutted and filled with people that really don't want to become Americans, do they? They don't want to learn the language. We have to take on their language. We have to write the extra books. We have to write the extra instructions in all the languages, for them. We have to cater to them. So there is no incentive to become Americans. There's no incentive to love this country. Again, walk in with your flag, but you're going to take our money. You're going to take our jobs. You're going to take our resources, our tax dollars. You're going to take our medical, our education. You're going to take it all in. But what are these people really giving back to make my life better in America?
They're not. And then when I'm saying to you that we are witnessing the destruction of America, what I'm saying to you is that some people say, oh, you're talking about civil war. Yeah, there could be a civil war. Yes, there's all that stuff. All that, America could fall. What I'm also saying is the America that we are witnessing and living in today, 6 months, a year, a decade from now, it will not be the same. You cannot import tens of millions of individuals that hate America, that are illiterate in their own language, that have below an 8th grade education, they're unskilled, and bring them in and think America is just going to remain the same.
Yeah.
You have to be, it's just a simple demographic discussion. You can't bring in outsiders and think that if I went to Japan, and Japan, I'm just guessing 50 million people. Okay, I'm just going to guess 50 million people. I bring in 10 million Afghanis, Yemenis, Sudanese, a couple Latin American people, and I infuse them, not over, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 generations. I infuse them within 3 years. What do you think is going to happen to the nation of Japan? It is going to go through financial, economic, social upheaval. Criminality is going to skyrocket. Shanties, balkanization of your nation, on and on and on. And I can take that same situation and put it in Mexico. I could put it in Guatemala, Honduras, Canada, anywhere across the globe, and you're going to see destruction and you're going to see chaos. So why is America different? Because we're bigger? I mean,
well,
are you insane?
It's because it's the can't happen here mentality, right? Just in the last, let's just say for the last, recent history, every other country has experienced destruction, right? They've been destroyed by their own policies, by socialism, by all kinds of things. I mean, razed to the grounds, war, everything else like that. But we're practically babies in the world scheme of things. America's only 246 years old, and it's just the mentality that can't happen here. Besides the fact, JJ, that these kids aren't educated in any history whatsoever. History whatsoever. So to them, they're way more awake, woke, enlightened than we are, raising their children. Now, I still don't see how this generation is raising any better kids than we are. I went to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and I'm watching America at its finest, right? I sat in that room, and I had the goosebumps in my stomach when I'm watching the control room that they actually used to launch the first spaceship into outer space into the moon. And I'm thinking to myself, that generation, Kennedy said, we're going to the moon. Why? Because, we climbed the highest mountain because it's hard, because it's difficult. And today America is like, well, am I male or female today?
I know.
What gender am I? Could you imagine what we could accomplish if we stopped worrying about what our freaking gender is and concern ourselves with the nation, our fellow man, our country, America? But
well, let's go one step further, Gil. Let's go one step further and look at. And I was on a podcast last night that I'm doing with a gentleman named Brian O'Shea, and intelligence officer, incredible guy. And he and I were talking about. He was saying one of the questions, what are you seeing that's so different? And I said, the biggest thing that I'm seeing, and I scour the internet, I'm always people are sending me videos and stuff. Gil, 90+% of everyone crossing now is single adult military age men.
Yes.
By the tens of thousands every day.
Yes.
You have the CCP is sending over their military spies. You have terrorist nations. I had an individual send me a text or email 2 days ago from San Diego and said, I am scared to death. I am releasing individuals that are hitting on the terrorist watch list. I am releasing criminal aliens, hardened felons. I'm releasing people on Interpol watch list. I'm releasing everyone. So if you think for a second that you don't have the enemy inside our walls, you're a fool. And then, as I wrote on my Substack, who's going to defend us when those 100,000 Chinese nationals / terrorists / special interest aliens decide we're inside the walls?
They get activated.
Who's going to do it? The man that says they're trying to figure out how to install the tampon in his body because he's menstruating, or the pregnant man, or the woman that chopped off her breast when she's 13 years old and is mentally insane. Who's going to stop it? All the man bun wearers? Come on, man. It's going to be a bloodbath. It is going to be an absolute bloodbath. And if you don't think the terrorism and terrorists are here by the thousands, you are a complete and utter moron. Let's look at what DHS came out. This was, what is it now, 10 days now? So in 2025, we've arrested 25,000 SIAs. And that was in 2022. In 2023, the fiscal year, it'll be over 80,000 SIAs. All of them have been
special interest aliens.
100,000, 105,000 in less than 2 years have been arrested and released. What do you think is going to happen, guys, when they're activated? And I know it sounds crazy, like a Jason Bourne movie. That's how insane the world is that we live in, that you've allowed Russia, China, Iran, they're not going to come and have conventional World War I, World War II war where they're going to say, okay, this is the front. We're going to try to move the line back. We're going to have a naval battle. No, they're not. They're going to activate their army inside our walls because they don't need to kill all of us. They just need to cause a little chaos. Watch our
a little bit of
crash.
chaos. It doesn't take long. Yeah.
And they will win. And when you look at, if you sat down on a notepad and you put the pros and cons, tell me what the pros are for having this happen to America. And you will not. You may say diversity. I'm not going to even let you skate on diversity. You can't do that. I want to know what's the pros. There are none.
I have one.
Cons.
I have one. Yes. I just read it the other day. Okay. JJ, you and I, okay, as blessed Americans by God in this country, have a legal and moral and biblical obligation. Right. Jesus said.
Oh, I love when they take Jesus and make him
right. We have to take we have to take the alien and the foreigner in, JJ. Come on, JJ.
Oh, I know.
Come on. Tell me I didn't just
where in the Bible argument. Yeah, where in the Bible did Jesus say, I need you to bankrupt yourself? I need you to allow all the enemies in so they can rape and pillage your wives and children and destroy your nation and neighborhood. I don't remember reading that in the New Testament. I just don't. I'm so tired. I mean, if you want to go in a different direction, I'm a Catholic. I'm so disgusted by my faith leaders from Pope Francis all the way down. I find them to be evil, evil men wearing my faith as their cloak.
Right.
And just they like have Pelosi, taken Jesus. Yeah. And I mean, you got Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden facilitating abortions in the vaginal canal. And our Pope and bishops and cardinals say nothing, except they'll talk to me about how I use plastic straws. I have my Pope Francis is talking to me about climate change. I want to just say, why don't you shut your mouth and tell me about Jesus? That's your job, not to try to indoctrinate me and tell me. And this is why I'm so angry. I've been angry with the Catholic faith for so long, is because just about 2 weeks ago, Pope Francis wrote one of his articles and said that walls are bad.
Yeah,
and borders
I love that.
And I'm like, dude, you got a 50-foot wall. You
at
live
the Vatican.
In the Vatican. You live a life that major rappers want to live. They want to have, look, you have cocaine-fueled gay orgies going on inside the Vatican wall. It's already been proven. That was 2 years ago. You have maids, cooks, drivers. You got everything you've ever wanted in your life because you're surrounded by a wall, you jackass.
And why? Why do they have a wall, JJ? Not because they hate the outsiders, but because they're trying to protect the treasure inside. And that's the mission of the Border Patrol, right? We're not trying to keep people out because we hate them. We're trying to protect the treasure of the American people of America on the inside of it. So it's important. I mean, the security in the Vatican try to get in there, is it's crazy. It's crazy, right? You have to do all kinds of things to get in. Just like any other country, you have to go through all the motions. For Americans to travel to another country, we have to jump through so many hoops, right?
But shouldn't you though? What's wrong with that?
I got no problem. I got no problem with that.
It's just amazing. I mean, you got Kathy Hochul, that crazy Karen up in New York.
Yes.
You know what she said yesterday? Joe Biden, you have got to close the border.
What?
I read that. Yeah. Go look. I'll have to forward you the article. And it's quote, close the border. It's got to close now. So if you took all these crazy liberals, Mayor Adams, Hochul, Bowser from DC, and you just go on, and you pull their quotes and you would just give them to somebody and go, look at that racist white guy. JJ said this.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I hate that guy. Well, no, actually, it's your insane governor and mayor that's far left said it. What? Yeah, because they're so hypocritical. They have no self-awareness. That's what's amazing to me. Like, if I make a mistake, I'm going to say, Gil, you know what? I told you last podcast, X, Y, and Z. I made a mistake. That's incorrect data. No, they're so oblivious to their prior statements and how that I'm a racist and you're a racist, Gil. No self-awareness. Now they want the borders closed. Well, why was the border needed to be closed by me is racist, and 18 months of you facilitating the entrance of people into your state. Now you want the border closed. Why is that not racist?
Yes.
Why is that just common sense?
Yes.
But no one will say, okay, no one will say it. And ultimately, Gil, ask yourself, why has not one Republican come out and tried to secure the border besides Chip Roy? Anyone? Nothing. In fact, they're arguing about continual resolutions. They're arguing about how much more money to give Ukraine while our country is being decimated by illegal immigration.
JJ, and maybe I'm a little ignorant when it comes to how that whole process works, but ultimately, aren't the Republicans in the House and the Republicans obviously the Republicans run the House, but we don't run the Senate. But basically, what can we do? They're helpless, aren't they? Aren't they functionally?
No, they're not helpless. They can just stand tall and say, I want the border secure. I want the funding to Ukraine stopped. I want the police fully funded. And if you do not do that, I'm not going to sign a continual resolution, and we will go into foreclosure as a nation. You and I know that government shutdown's a lie. Everything gets paid. It's politicians. But nobody will make a stand and say, nope, we're not doing it. We'll let the country default, however language you want to say it. Right. But this is going to stop. But they don't, Gil. Why? Because they're all complicit in it. They're all getting power and wealth from the backs of illegal aliens. Why do you think Catholic Charities, Lutheran Family Services, why do you think that they keep pushing amnesty and refugees? Because it's $1 billion a year business from those. The Catholic Church got over $3 billion for several years.
Charities, They always have. But the funny, even the more sad, corrupt thing is, the craziness is that so many of our retired compadres and a retired DHS, CBP, Border Patrol, ICE, whatever, are making millions and millions and millions, right? It's big business. Right. Just the other day, yesterday, I read how one guy made $14,000 in 1 week just providing security for one of the shelters, one of the migrant shelters. 14,000 in a week. They're getting like $100 an hour, 200, 100 and something bucks an hour, all taxpayer funded, right? Yep. All coming in, and who's getting those contracts, JJ? Federal government employees, retired federal government employees.
And why not? Go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I know. In particular, I could name some names right now, like a string of names that are banking millions from this. And you know what? Okay, God bless them, right? It's America, it's capitalism, but that is feeding off the misery and destruction, and they're literally making money off the ultimate destruction of our country and our society and our neighborhoods. They're screaming bloody murder for a few that and again, like you said, you said it so well last time. Abbott only sent 13,000. They're getting and they Anthony Aguero was interviewing people the other day. And the majority want to go to New York, of course. They want to go to LA, of course, because not only are they getting freed up to go to these places and get taken care of, but now, JJ, this pompous, psychophantic, psychotic son of a bitch, Mayorkas, is providing them protective status so that when we decide to go get them, right?
They're free.
They're protected. You can't send them back. So he wants to bring him in, and he wants to keep them, right? As many as he can.
I'm about to right when I get off this podcast, I'm publishing my Substack article on the temporary protective status, and I use El Salvador as example. is El Salvador has been on temporary protective status since 2001. So Congress keeps re-upping 6, 12, 18 months, and it's and rubber stamps it, and nobody says stop. That's what's amazing to me is the ignorance, the level of stupidity and ignorance by our leaders, the level of complicity and maliciousness, and the utter, I don't care, it's not my realm. Those three things are destroying America. It's just going to happen. It's now. I've resigned myself to now. This is unless a new president comes in and Trump truly goes and says all Biden's craziness, it's ending. I want everyone out and gets a deportation force, hires retirees to come in and go into the cities that they are and clean them out. Outside of that, I'm resigned myself that this is now a simple math problem and we are going to lose.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Okay, I've been making I send you my updates that I send out to, to the different radio. Okay, so my point last night was that number one, right? They talk about the legal pathways. We're trying to make legal pathways, and so now, walking through the field between ports of entry, right? Now we have a 2,000-mile port of entry. You could walk you could walk through it anywhere at any point now, and that is considered, JJ, a legal pathway, right? That is no longer considered an illegal crossing. We don't even call it that. We call it, undocumented migration, but we don't call it illegal anymore. So am I right in saying that now, to this administration, to the meat puppet heads of DHS CBP, that even the illegal, every crossing between ports across all the southern border is now considered a legal pathway?
Yes, because they've hijacked language and they confuse. You and I have had this discussion. You take the DHS, the giant machine, and CBP and Border Patrol, and it's so huge and the policies are so wonky, right? Sometimes we would get those memos from sector, and even as a deputy patrol agent in charge, I'd go, I don't even know what the hell they're saying. What is this memo about, right? Because it's so jacked up. What they've done is they've changed policy and law, and they're saying, hey, everything is fine. This is all legal. It's legal. So they're like, I've heard this. Well, those people in New York are not illegal aliens. Yes, they are. In the traditional sense, in the real law, they're illegal. Under Mayorkas claims that they're legal status. No, they don't. And then I always say, okay, let's just agree to agree now. And I tell them, so under the asylee parole system, he's allowed in millions of people. And I always ask them, do you know how long that status is for? And they're like, well, no, it's forever. And I go, no, it's 60 days, you moron. So in 60 days, when they can't get to see an ICE officer or an immigration judge, well, immigration judge in California now is being stamped at 2027, their court date. The vast majority have no court date. 2032 in New York, but the vast majority have no court date stamped on there. So after 60 days, you ignorant bastard, all of them turn into illegal aliens because you don't know that, because you're so stupid that you have no idea how they manipulate and bastardize the law. So all of these millions of people we call in our language in immigration, which you're not, because you're just a talking head for a stupid cable show, all of those people turn into out of status. You know what out of status means? They're illegal aliens.
Illegal. Thank you. So
now I have millions of illegal aliens in my country, and guess what they can't do anymore? They can't work. They couldn't work before unless they got fraudulent work authorization. So now I have millions of people, Gil, that can't work legally. So now I have slave labor.
And they're
now
trying
they're
to
completely
they're trying to get the work permits out to them. And this is ahead of everybody that legally applied for a work permit. Now they're giving it to all these. But here's my second point. So we've eliminated the illegal part. So this isn't really a problem to be solved, though, right? This is a liberal, this is now a liberal social program that we are supposed to, as Americans, number one, allow unlimitedly and indefinitely, and number two, fund unlimitedly and indefinitely.
Well, yeah, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, you had, I think it was Chip Roy or Congressman Green from Tennessee, I can't remember which one, that actually asked Mayorkas under oath and said, finally asked the question I wanted to ask for years. What is the number of illegal alien that you arrest that's going to trigger you to shut the border down? They would not answer it.
Yeah.
Because the answer is, Gil, and you know this.
Yes.
There is no.
There is
and I always
none.
tell people, so you got a Congo line 5 miles long and about 5 to 10 people wide, right? So you have tens of thousands and they're just coming in every day. It does not take, so let's just do a round number. You have 3 million people that came into America this year, arrested and released. I'm telling you, at least another 3 million got away. 6 million. At a birth rate of 3 to 6 times the national average, just do the math. Americans are below the replacement level. This isn't a racist, ethnic, anything. This is just a simple math problem. If I allow in uneducated, illiterate, unskilled people by the millions, and they reproduce at a 3 to 6 times the rate of a level of reproduction by Americans, what do you think is going to happen? If I take 30 million people that Joe Biden's allowed in at the end of his term, and they reproduce at a 5 to 1, that's 150 million people. American population is dying. We're not repopulating.
Well, yeah, because we're trying to figure out what we got now, what kind of pee-pee we have.
That's right. Well, we cut them off. Remember, we cut all of that off. So, and now we find out men can have babies. I mean, it's sick. It's just sick.
It is, and it's a overwhelming problem. Now, you probably noticed that we didn't get to our book today. I feel like we needed to hash this out, to vent it out a little bit. We put a lot of good stuff out there for people to chew on and understand that this problem is way beyond whatever they think or assume it is or anything else like that. So let's wrap up. I'll give you the final thought for the day, and then we'll wrap up this podcast for today, and then we'll get to chapter 6 next week.
Okay, that sounds good. My final point is going to be real simple. I ask you to look, I ask you to pull yourself back from this insanity and look at it from a global perspective. You're seeing this happen across the Western nations of the globe, all the Southern migration from third world nations. And this is not my words. These are words of Western leaders, the WEF and World Health Organization, on and on and on.
Okay.
This is a global reset. And I know for years people would laugh at people that said that. Tucker Carlson said it, and they called him, crazy. It's all happening. Yeah. You don't have, these are not my words. These are words directly from these leaders that we are going to have a global reset. And you are seeing this. So it is just happening to us now. It was happening to Europe for almost a decade now. And we look from afar and it's like, that won't happen to us. It's happening to us. The same thing that they were fighting in Europe, we're fighting now, but at a higher and accelerated rate. Mm-hmm. We're witnessing the destruction of our nation. And I hate being the guy to say it out loud, but I'm not going to remain silent. So when you look at it, look at this from a global perspective and understand that there are forces bigger than the people that are making decisions. Mayorkas is a traitor. Joe Biden is brain dead. His cabinet are traitors, but somebody higher up than them are making the decisions for them and telling them what to do.
Thanks, JJ. Yeah, you know what? This chapter we're going to talk about next Friday does talk about the kind of job that the Border Patrol agent does. And it's one of my favorite chapters so far. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to what we're doing that next week. But I just want to say that it's one thing, right, to watch. We're watching the destruction of every segment of our society. Mm-hmm. And again, that's not. I don't think it's hyperbole. I don't think it's saying too much. And I just want to tell our fellow agents, right? We're here to support them. We love our fellow agents. We'll back you up if we're somewhere and you're there. And no matter what most of us carry, we will be there. We will be your backup until the day we can't pick ourselves. We're walking in walkers, and maybe even then we'll do it. But This country's been sold out. The Border Patrol, now in the eve of its 100th anniversary, has been sold out. It has. Don't sell out the badge. Don't sell out your oath. Don't do what you know is a lie and wrong in front of the American people in our uniform with our badge and with our patches. Don't do that.
We're not seeing that though, Gil.
No, we're not seeing it. We're not
We're not seeing that. We're seeing people lie to us while they wear that badge and that uniform.
It kills me. It destroys me, JJ. It destroys me. So this was good for me because I needed the vent. I think you needed the vent. You know what? You're an angry guy.
I know. Isn't it funny when you speak the truth that you're angry, right? I love that.
Yeah.
Because I see my country being destroyed. I should be more kinder and gentler instead of being angry.
Yes.
And my that's my point is I say to people, well, how are you not more angry? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But when your wife is raped and your kids are going to school with 30 kids and 40 kids in a class and none of them speak English, don't come to me angry, because first question I want to ask you is, why are you so angry? Aren't you a good Christian? Why aren't you? Jesus would want you to take care of all those people.
Well, the best part's going to be when one of them gets their kid pregnant too. Because a lot of these people that come, they don't have any problem with their knowing what genitals they're wearing, right? They don't. This is getting out of control. Let's shut it down right here.
but it is that. But as crazy as what we're saying, it's reality.
It's not crazy.
No, it's not crazy.
No,
nothing that we said today. And I would love, and anybody that watches this and disputes it, my email, jjcarroll.com. Send me an email.
Right
we'll get it. If you don't want to have a discussion, I want to have a discussion. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong, and you can't.
But the problem, JJ, is that next week when we do our next podcast, things will be worse than what we're saying right now. So we're not even hitting the tip of the iceberg. Anyway,
I'll make one prediction before I go.
Okay, do it.
Within 6 months, we will look back, and these days will seem tame.
Jeez.
In 6 months, that this will be tame. We are about to see the numbers increase to 15 to 20,000 a day being arrested. Just watch. In fact, you'll see it in the August data, and then in September you'll see it that will surpass 300,000 to 400,000 in 1 month.
Well, it's looking like rain, my friend. So it's time to grab your gun and bring in the cat.
All right, go have some coffee.
I know. I'm going. I've been having much. Have a great weekend, brother. I'll talk to you.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.